I kept saying to my dietitian that I was in this boat, and I had been in this boat for 2 years. And it was this boat where you're brushing up against really wanting to do it and really wanting to get better and do the work and better myself, but you're still in the boat of, but I don't want to. I don't want to do the uncomfortable work. I don't want to have to deal with the changes that come with it. I just don't want to. I just kept thinking about that to myself, like, I don't want to be in this boat anymore. And I kept describing this other boat as being pink and sparkly and having so much fun stuff on this other boat. And it's like, well, I want to be on that boat. I want to be on the boat where I can go out to dinner with my friends whenever I feel like it. Where I can go grab drinks with my friends and I don't have to think twice about it. Where I can be a supportive partner and a good partner, and I can be a good employee, and I can be a good student, and I can be a good friend because I'm nourishing myself and I'm taking care of myself. Because on this boat right now, I can't do that. And then I just got on it.
So, hey.
Hey.
Are you nervous?
No.
No?
No.
Okay, good. Well, this is Mackenzie. Mackenzie is Mackenzie.
I'm Mackenzie.
I'll let her introduce herself in a moment, but I've known Mackenzie for fuck knows how long.
So long.
So many years.
How old are we? 22?
Yeah.
How old are you when you start elementary school? 4?
Yeah.
No. 5?
Give or take. 4 or 5, I think.
Probably since, I don't know. Who did you have in school? I can't remember.
I missed Semino, kindergarten.
I had the other Wilkinson.
Wilkinson.
Then I had Bonnie.
Bonnie?
Miss Bonnie. She
What?
was like an older woman. 1st grade.
What?
Yeah, who'd you have?
I had Susan Weichelman.
Oh.
Miss Weichelman.
2nd grade?
Miss Gray?
Yes.
I was going to say, I think we had 2nd grade.
Okay, so then that's probably when we became friends.
2nd grade.
2nd grade.
Traces back to 8 years old. Perfect. But Mackenzie has a fascinating story. I hadn't seen her in a long time, and we got some Chipotle for about 5 fucking hours. Froze our fucking ass up. It was funny as shit because I was sitting there, and so we're in Chipotle, and we're just talking, we're hitting it off, we're having a good time, whatever. And then like an hour or 2 passes, and it's cold in there. It's hot outside. But
that's the problem living in the summer. It's so hot outside, and then you're like, okay, I can't wait to go in this place. And then it's so cold.
After like a good 30 minutes, your body, I was literally
It's
like,
over.
I was like this, and I was like, well, she seems chill. So I was like, so it's
Not
fine.
chill.
Okay.
Not chill.
Too chill.
I was
Very chilled.
very chilled, actually.
2 minutes chilled. But yeah, so we were chit-chatting, and she was telling me about her story that we're going to dive into.
I'm gonna get into
And
it.
I was like, holy fucking shit. And there was like 2 or 3 times where you're talking, and I just stopped listening because I was like, you got to say this on the podcast. And so I was sitting there, I was like, I got to just have her on the podcast. But then you kept talking, and I was like, wow, this is like fucking insane. Like you just kept saying shit. I'm like, what, dude?
Yeah.
Like, so
Yeah.
I was like, and obviously the reason why is not just because it's a crazy story. It's because I think it's going to help a lot of people and see what we do from there. Side note, question. I haven't posted really any other content besides myself speaking on my page, but I'm starting to think, and I had this idea yesterday, and this is not a concrete idea, just throwing it out there. I figured I'd ask you beforehand if I could start posting clips of like you on my page. Is that cool?
Yeah.
Okay, because I think I want to start doing that. It's like if I have guests on, because that's what most people do with their podcasts.
Right.
They clip themselves and other people.
Yeah.
But if you're riffing, spitting fucking bars,
Which I will be.
which will happen,
obviously.
then go from there. Mackenzie's also gay. So all the men, please,
There we go.
just so you know,
That's what we're here to talk about, gay
keep
stuff.
your boners to yourself.
Just gay stuff.
Just-
You wouldn't understand.
Gay stuff and cats. All right.
And cats.
Well, without further ado, Mackenzie, who are you?
Mackenzie.
Got it.
That's it.
That's about it.
What do I say?
Literally whatever you think of.
I'm 22. I go to Central currently. I'm a psych major. I work at Lululemon.
Yeah.
Ew. Just kidding. It's a great place to work. I live on my own. I have 2 cats. And here I am. I don't know. Not much else to talk about.
Yeah, but that's like the service level shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's like the
That's actually why I have this tattoo.
what is that?
It's a closed book, but the cover is open book.
Ah.
The original idea was to get an open book. And because I was like, I'm such an open book. Like, I will tell anybody anything.
Right.
And then it was kind of came down to, actually, no, you actually don't tell anybody anything that matters. Like
right.
The really deep stuff.
Right.
So then I got the closed book.
I like that.
Cover of open book.
I like that a lot. It's a similar philosophy that at least I abide by and many people abide by in terms of like mental health mindset sort of deal in terms of content creation. Just because it's like there's certain things where like, I don't know. Like I take the approach of if you're going to listen to my content, I'm not shoving it down your throat. You're coming to my page for my content.
Yeah.
And so I'm a completely open book, but case dependent. But I like that a lot.
Thanks.
So maybe I can ask you more.
Yeah.
More anxiety-provoking question.
Open book questions.
Let's go back to, so you are what, senior in college?
Yeah.
You're 22, whatever. You are 16, sophomore in high school. Yeah. What happens from sophomore year of high school to senior year of high school? What's that process?
I was an athlete for most of my life. I was a swimmer.
She was.
So I feel like, I mean, I guess I don't want to say that had a lot of effect on what had happened to me, but you're in like a kind of like a spotlight of you have to perform well, and you're also basically naked. Yeah. Like, so, I mean, I guess probably deep down in my brain that had a lot to do with what had happened to me. I guess we should say I have been struggling with anorexia for technically, how old am I? 22. So 3 years, but actually, like, probably my whole life.
Yeah.
So I guess we should insert a trigger warning if you're sensitive. Maybe listen carefully. I don't know.
Okay.
But then I was in a relationship. The relationship ended. And in my senior year, I was a little bit of a psychopath. I was a little crazy. Okay. And I partied a lot. I went to the gym a lot with you. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I guess nothing really monumental happened. I think all the monumental things happened when I went to college. You go to college and you're like on your own and you got to figure out how to like be an adult. Right. How do I balance going to school and like feeding myself and then like making friends and then exercising and then also going home to have a job? And
so what was the whole you're crazy as fuck senior year?
I mean, I was just crazy. I was going through a breakup and I just like didn't actually go through it. I kind of was just like, I'm single and I can do whatever I want and I'm just going to be a psychopath. So I kind of just like covered up whatever I was going through with the partying and never being home.
Okay.
Type of deal.
So what happened with the breakup?
What do you mean what happened?
Like, why was it so like?
That was my first relationship. So it was like devastating. And we were together for a long time.
You were?
We were together for a long time.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I was devastated. Now I like look back and I'm like, dude, like.
It's fine.
Like, you're fine.
Yeah.
But I was not fine.
Why were you so devastated?
I don't know. I think you're just like a different level of vulnerable with someone like that.
Right.
And then it's like, ew, you like know all this stuff about me. And we're like broken up, like, ew.
Right.
Yeah. And she also knew about all of my problems that I was going through, like my eating stuff. Mm-hmm. So she had helped me a lot.
Yeah.
And then it was kind of like, well, let's hope for the best.
See ya.
Yeah.
Okay. And so then what did you do? You said you covered up with partying, but like what else? That was it?
I also just felt like I was not nice to like other people. People would like me and I'd be like, yep, me too. But I didn't. So I would be like, yep, I'm going to give you all my attention, but I don't mean it.
Right.
And that was really mean.
Yeah.
And I look back on it now and I'm like, dude, just shut up.
Yeah.
Like, just stop talking to people.
Right.
Just stay home.
Yeah.
Don't leave your house.
No, 100%.
Just stay home. And I like really wish I could go back and say to some people like, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Like, that was mean.
Yeah.
That was really mean.
But you think you're trying to fill a gap there?
Oh my God. The biggest void I was trying to fill. It was a gaping hole.
You're like, but these people love me.
They love me.
And I don't care about you. But I'll keep you around. But I'll pretend to want to keep you around so that I keep the attention. Got it. So then when did that actual healing process start?
Probably that summer before college.
Okay.
My sister, I said this to you, my sister was volunteering at the hospital.
Yeah.
My mom teaches summer school. My dad works. So I was like alone.
Yeah.
All summer. And everybody was about to leave. Mm-hmm. So everybody was kind of like doing their own thing and whatever. So that's what I was doing. I just kind of like went to work and went to the gym and then just hung out. Yeah. And I had a good time. I had a really good time.
It's a really fun time, but it's a really weird period.
It's uncomfortable. It's so uncomfortable.
But the weirdest thing happens, and like I don't know if you noticed this, but the thing that I noticed the most was like, especially with the kids in high school, that you realize like you're kind of acquaintances-ish, sort of friends, mutual friends. You're like so nice to each other now. Yeah. And you're like, oh, that's weird.
That is, okay, so this is weird. So when I was, I don't know, maybe the day before, day after I saw you, I was driving home from my parents' house, and Mark Rich comes driving. Oh, he was like taking a turn, and I was about to take the other way, and he screams out the window. He's like, yo! And I look at him, and then he DMs me on Instagram. He's like, dude, I just saw you driving. And I was like, yeah. And then he was like, we should hang out. And I was like, sure. Yeah. But it's like so weird, because if you were to go back in time 4 or 5 years ago, you would never have done that.
Never.
What's wrong with us?
I don't know.
Like, just be nice.
Right. That's what I'm saying. And so that's the weird thing, because like it's like the parents' perspective, hindsight, you were right thing. Yes. Of like you look back and you're like, maybe I shouldn't have been an asshole to other kids on the soccer field. And you're like, okay, no, we got to win. And your 5th grade to senior year of high school mind is like, fuck dad, he doesn't know shit. And then you look back, you're like, God, that was cringy that I was like that. But it's because he was right the whole time. But it's like that with everything. And then you go from your senior year into freshman year of college, and you're sitting there, and you're like, I'm never going to see 99% of these fuckers ever again. Right. Ever. Right. And so you're sitting there, and you're like, why don't I just be nice? Right. And it feels amazing.
It feels so good to just be nice.
And it's there for like 3 months, and it's gone.
No, I think it feels way better to be nice.
Of course. No, but I'm saying you had those, you had elementary school to senior year of high school to do it. But you only decided to do it for 3 months.
Oh, okay. Yes. Okay. Yes. Yes. I had a thing in my college dorm room that said my mom was right. And every time she was right, I would look at him and be like, fuck you. Yeah. You're fucking right. You're right. Like, go fuck yourself.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Weird. Feel old saying that.
Yes. My mom was fucking right. Okay. Yeah. Tracy, fine.
Fine.
You can have it.
She's the goat.
You can have that one.
Thanks. Okay, so back to the story. So where are we at? Senior year? Senior year going into college is where you started what?
Just that summer I was just hanging out and had a really fun time.
Okay.
I had a really good time. And then I went to school. And then I was a psychopath. Okay. Like, I was just crazy, and I was literally partying like Wednesday through Saturday. It was really horrible. And like my roommate was also someone who like my whole floor that I lived with was also like that. Yeah. So, and then I got into a really bad relationship with someone who was just not great. Yeah. And you can't, like, wearing rose-colored glasses is such a true.
It's crazy.
It's such a true statement.
It's
crazy.
The most bizarre thing.
Yeah. And COVID also happened the following year, literal year, not school year, but we were dating, and it was just like one of those things where it was like, I'm going to cheat on you, and when you catch me, I'm going to gaslight you because it's not true. But it was true. So I caught her cheating on me, with them cheating on me multiple times. But it's one of those things where it's like, that's not true. Like, that's just how I talk to all of my friends. And it's like, who am I to not believe you when I used to refer to all of my friends as like baby? And like I still do with some of my coworkers, like, you know? So I was like, okay. And then COVID happened, and we all got sent home. And actually, that relationship ruined like all of my friendships. With my roommate, she was like my best friend. Because she just like was not, because you know when you get into a relationship and you're like, I want to spend all my time with this person. But then if that person doesn't mesh with your friends, it's like, well, then I'm going to choose this person, which is a horrible idea.
It seems like narcissism. That's like typical narcissistic trait.
Yeah.
Push you away from everybody, including your family.
Yeah. So I just stopped being really, honestly, friends with all of my friends at the time. And then COVID happened. Yeah. And then who are you fucking hanging out with? Nobody. So, and it sucked. And then it was horrible. And this is about the time where I feel like my eating problems got really bad. Because it was like I had really bad anxiety about like everything. So it's like, well, all of this stuff is happening to all of us and nobody knows what's going on. And it's like, well, what can I hyper fixate on to fix how I'm feeling?
Right.
So I guess like I took like exercise was like one of those things for me.
Yeah.
And fucking Chloe Ting. You know that bitch on YouTube, Chloe Ting?
No.
Who does those, I'm going to pull up a fucking Chloe Ting video.
Okay.
She's like, these at-home workouts for you to, hold on, be Chloe Ting. Bitch, Chloe Ting. Fucking hate her. It might not load. She just made at-home workout videos, and everybody watched them. And now, like, in the eating disorder community on TikTok, it was like a collective, like, fuck you. Like, you fucked me up during COVID.
Why? Was she telling people not to eat?
No, it was just like 10-minute ab workout to have solid abs. And it's like, that's not fucking true.
Right.
Like, things like that.
Right. That's why I hate that one fucking dude. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about.
Sure.
It's the one fucking dude. He's like, whatever. Just continue.
And she would like have like a Chloe Ting challenge. If you do this for 2 weeks, these are your results. It's like, please go fuck yourself. Maybe she's a great person. I hate her.
Right.
But yeah. And then we went back to school that following semester.
Right.
And I was at Southern at the time.
Uh-huh.
So we went back to school and we were living on campus, but like you couldn't really do anything. So you kind of just were stuck in your dorm.
Yeah.
And like you could go to your class if you had any in person.
Uh-huh.
And I made a lot of friends that semester. Like we all lived together. We were all in the same building. So we all became friends. And my best friend at the time, she's still one of my best friends. We were roommates.
Yeah.
She's also gay. So I guess that intimidated my partner.
Got it.
So then that ended up breaking our friendship up. And we didn't talk for like 2 years.
Why?
Because she was just like, my girlfriend was just like so intimidated by because if you were to see Des and I interact, it's like, oh my God, these are like two of the bestest friends ever.
Right.
And we were.
Yeah.
So I guess it was like, I don't know. I don't know what the thought process was there.
Just jealousy?
I wasn't living in that body. But yeah, so we stopped being friends. I stopped being friends with a lot of people. And I had to move out of my room. Like, it was so bad that I literally had to move out of my room into somebody else's room. And it was horrible. And I was, like, heartbroken because I was like, I love Des. Like, I love you. You're my best friend. And it sucked so bad. And then we went, I think, Thanksgiving, you couldn't come back because you know how you go home and then you come back for, like, a week.
Yeah.
We couldn't because don't go home to your families and then give everybody COVID.
Right.
Whatever. So I actually ended up getting COVID on Christmas. I woke up. I used to keep a candle next to my bed, and I would smell the candle every morning to be like, don't have COVID today. Self-COVID test, done. Don't have it. So I woke up, and I immediately could not smell, like, just the air. Like, couldn't smell anything. So I smell this candle. I was like, oh, fuck. Oh, fuck. And so I go downstairs, and I put a mint in my mouth, and I was like, oh, fuck, I have COVID, and it's literally fucking Christmas. Who's going to COVID test me? Nobody. So I was supposed to go see my girlfriend that day, and we broke up because I think she was like, oh, you can't come see me? We're breaking up. And I was like,
wait, what?
Yes. It was like, I've been looking forward to seeing you and blah, blah, blah. We're done. I was like, okay. Like.
On Christmas?
Yes.
Because you had COVID?
Yes. Or maybe it was like a few days after, but regardless, I couldn't leave the house for 10 days. So it was like all the same day, basically.
So you had one relationship in high school.
Yes.
And then that one ended. And then going into college, you got into another one.
In college.
My
first semester.
So this was only the span of, what, eight months or so?
No. Oh, it was over a year.
Oh.
Yeah.
So then, wait.
First relationship ended very beginning of our senior year.
Okay.
Yeah. So then we started dating like around Christmas time of my freshman year. So it was over a year.
You started dating Christmas time of your freshman year.
Of college.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, are you talking about the breakup?
No, wait, because then Because
I thought
3 months after Christmas time of freshman year was COVID.
I thought you were talking about the time span between the relationships. Sorry. We started dating. We dated for like a year. Me and the other person. That was
okay. I don't know. I just feel like I need to understand the time horizon so that I'm on the same page.
Okay. So 2020.
Yeah.
We broke up Christmas of 2020.
Got it.
And then I think having COVID really fucked me up.
Yeah.
Because when you have no taste or smell, what are you eating?
It's awful.
It's horrible.
It's
Everything tastes like
nothing.
Nothing. But then the texture of something being like eating it. I ate
everything.
It was horrible. I ate pasta and I was like,
yeah,
no.
It's the worst thing ever.
Worst thing ever. So I was just eating like apples because what the fuck?
Yeah.
Everything is horrific.
Yeah.
So then, and then after I came out of quarantine, I was like, well, I'm free to live my life.
Yeah.
But, living your life didn't end well. So I went back to work after having COVID, and then I wish I could pinpoint how it all snowballed, but it just did. Like I came out of quarantine and everyone was like, you're really sick looking. And I was like, no, I'm not. I remember one time I was going down the stairs and my dad was going up the stairs and he was like, you're too skinny. And I was like, no, I'm not. And I left. But it just like snowballed. I don't really know how it happened, but I went to my doctor for like a physical and she was like, why do you weigh so much less? And I was like, I actually said to her, well, I mean, I stopped going to the gym. No, I said I stopped lifting weights. So I probably just like lost all my muscle. And she was like, okay. And
that's it?
Yeah, I was like, okay. Well, and then I was going for my anxiety. So she prescribed me whatever. So I came back in 2 weeks for like a follow-up. And she was like, you are weighing less than 2 weeks ago. And I was like, well, it must be the medication you put me on. And then we switched the medication because it was not working. So then came back 2 weeks later and she was like, what's wrong with you? Like, what's going on? And I was like, I have this issue where I don't eat. And she was like, so that's an eating disorder, babe. Yeah. And I was like, okay. So she suggested me a therapist who was completely booked. And I was like, well, fuck me then. But then she suggested me someone who doesn't take insurance. So it would be like $300 a week, maybe even more than that, like crazy. And she was out of West Hartford, so like, of course it was going to be more expensive. And then she suggested me someone who was my therapist now. So I met with my therapist, bless her. And we had one session and she was like, yeah, I can't help you. Like you need a higher level of care. And I was like, what are you literally even talking about? I've never heard that in my life. So I was like, what does that mean? So there's like tiers to it. It's like inpatient, which is you're in a hospital setting, which sucks. I've never experienced it, but I can only imagine it sucks. Then there's residential, where you live there in a house for X amount of time. And you can't leave. And then there's like PHP, IOP, which is like I come to the hospital every other day or every day, whatever. So the three like main treatment centers around here are like Walden, which I've not really heard anything good about, Center for Discovery, and I can't think of the other name right now. Clearly, I haven't gone to that one. What is it called? I don't know. Oh, ERC, Eating Recovery Center or something like that.
Okay.
So I had an intake with all of these places, and they all were like, yeah, you need help. And it was kind of like, well, who has a shorter wait list? What is more accommodating? So that's where you end up going. And the wait list is about 6 months, but for me it was like, let's get this going. Yeah. Because you can be taken, I'm assuming you can be taken off a wait list somewhere and put somewhere else. So I was originally supposed to go to one place, and I ended up going to the other, I think. I can't really remember. I don't have much of a memory at that time. But it was like, it got really bad really fast. Like I was so cold all the time. I would like sleep with sweatpants, a sweatshirt, you know, those like comfy or like cozy like like the blanket sweatshirts.
Yeah.
I would put a jacket on and then that to sleep because I was so cold. It was horrible. And then I had such bad mental hunger, which is like when all your brain can think about is like food and like the next time you're going to eat or anything. So I would just always be watching videos, people cooking, TikToks of like anything related to food. I was always watching them. If I was at work and I had a second of downtime, I was thinking of that, watching those videos. And my manager would be like, get off your phone. And I would be like, I can't. But I was just delusional. Like I worked all day, every day. At the time, Dunkin' had something called their extra charged coffee, which I don't really know what that means. It's not espresso. So what does that mean? Not sure. I would drink like 2 of those a day and like at least 1 Monster. And you could only imagine your heart feels crazy. There would be times I'd be standing up and I could literally feel like my heart like beating abnormally. And I was like, well, that's it. I'm done. I'm croaking right now because 1 in 5 people die of eating disorders.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of people.
Yeah.
So I was like, maybe my time is now. But I didn't care. So once I was told, like, yep, you're on this wait list, you're going hopefully during this time, it was like, well, I need to do whatever I can to make it worse. So it's almost like I actually have this problem and I actually need help because I didn't believe I did. So, yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
There's a weird concept. It's called the region beta paradox. And basically what it means is if things are just bad enough to the point where you're willing to stay comfortable with it,
right,
that you'll never do anything about it.
Right.
But if things get actively worse, then you're at the point where you're like, okay, I need help, or okay, things need to change, or okay, I need to make things better.
Yeah.
And it seems like that was a weird, sick way of being a blessing to getting you to get better.
Yeah.
Question mark.
I have videos on my TikTok from like that time, so January of 2021.
Yeah.
And they're like horrible to watch. It's like, I don't even think I need to go to treatment because I ate this today and I think I'm doing better. And I have like videos of me being like, I'm getting better physically, but not mentally. And it's like, no, babe, you still look like shit. And granted, it's never about how somebody looks. It's never about somebody's weight. Like you could look however you look and you could still be struggling and need to go to a higher level of care.
Right.
But yeah, I look back on that time and I'm like, dude, like I just want to punch myself in the face and be like, shut up. But I also feel so sorry for her. Like I feel so sorry for her. If I like read my journal from that time, it's like, oh my God, like I feel horrible for you. It's really sad. But I just kind of did whatever I could to make it worse. And then.
So what does that mean? Like eating less?
Eating less, working out more, just abusing laxatives, diet pills.
So how did your relationship with exercise? Like what did that turn into?
It was just, I would be at the gym. I would be on the treadmill. That was the only thing I would do. I would only do cardio.
Yeah. On
the treadmill for like an hour, 2 hours. I would be at the gym. But it also kind of manifested in my job. So I would always want to be the food runner. So I could always be moving. Things like that. Or I would exercise in like my room. I always wanted to go on walks. And it was fully January, February at this time. Yeah. So, yeah, it was tough.
Because to me, looking from the outside in, it looked like you had a very healthy relationship with exercise. It seemed like it was just pure discipline.
Right.
But it's crazy to think like, surface level, yes, you're not eating.
Right.
So no.
Yeah. I also think people confuse disordered exercise behavior with discipline.
Right.
A lot of the time. Yeah. Or disordered eating with discipline. So when people are like bulking or cutting, granted, probably most of the time, that's a very normal, healthy thing to do, but not for everybody.
Definitely not.
Or just, I don't know, sometimes I watch people's videos of I'm on this new diet, and it's like, no, you're not. Like, that's not normal.
Yeah. Because to me, the way that I look at, your situation is like, it's super detrimental because you're not eating, which is horrible.
Horrible.
So then, because I'll look at my situation where like I had this crazy insecurity with being super skinny, which is just the cards I was dealt. Like, there's not much I could do about it. Even though like I was working out, I could put on some size, whatever. But then after a while, you get to the point where you're seeing other dudes. You're like, oh, I want the same size that he has. So you'll eat and you'll eat and you'll eat and you'll eat and you'll work out like a fucking dog all day, but you're not going to get there.
Right.
But it's like that same psychological, I can get there. You can't. It's impossible. You can't get there.
Right.
But it's inverse because you're actually eating. So it's not going to have all these side effects that you have, which is not eating, which then becomes self-fulfilling, makes your mind worse, makes your body worse, makes your health infinitely worse, rather than you're maybe overeating, but it's not going to be nearly the same effect as not eating at all.
Yeah. And there was no gears turning in the brain at this time. Like, there was none.
Yeah.
There was literally none. The conversations were so surface level.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was experiencing psychosis for a period of time. And that was terrible. And so scary.
It's just because you were not eating at all.
Yeah. I mean, how is your brain supposed to function?
Doesn't have any calories,
Right.
Yeah.
Your brain is like, oh my God, this is horrible.
Yeah.
So, it's not good.
And so when was this? When did that start?
Probably January.
Of 2021?
Yeah. But it didn't last long, I feel like, maybe. I feel like kind of once I went to treatment, it changed. I wasn't. Because you're in this environment where it's really safe.
Uh-huh.
And, like, nothing really is going to happen to you.
Yeah.
So you kind of can, like, let your guard down and be not so scared all the time.
Right. So when did you go to treatment? Was that March? February?
February 14th, 2021. I think. Nope. Maybe the 16th. Because 14th is a Valentine's Day, so the 16th.
Damn.
Yeah. And I didn't know I was leaving until the day before.
Why?
Because it was like, you're on this wait list, and it's kind of up in the air, because so-and-so could be planning on getting discharged tomorrow, but, something actually happened with insurance, we have to keep you for 2 more days. Or your PHP plan isn't going to go into effect for 2 days, so we're going to keep you until then.
Right.
So it was just up in the air. And they called me, and they were like, you're leaving tomorrow. And I was like, what? Literally what? Yeah. And at this time, I had just met Emily, who is my partner. Had just met Emily in real life.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of like, well, I really like you, and here I am just leaving.
Right.
Yeah. And that must have been so hard on her.
Yeah.
So.
Shit.
Yeah.
Wait, so what got you into, like, that? So what do you call it? Like,
residential?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just called residential?
Yeah, treatment. You can just say treatment.
Okay. What got you? Was it your therapist?
I mean, so my therapist was the one who was like, I need you to call these people.
Yeah.
And I need you to tell them what's going on. And I can't really remember very well, but you have an over-the-phone intake where they ask you questions about what's going on.
Yeah.
What are you going through? And, like, they kind of assess the severity to see, like, what level you need.
Uh-huh.
So you're on that call for, I don't know, maybe like an hour.
Yeah.
And then you hear from them a few days later, a week later.
Shit.
Yeah. So if it weren't for my doctor,
yeah,
I would probably, I don't know what my life would be like. But then if it weren't for my therapist, I don't know what it would be like either.
Right. Sheesh.
Yeah.
And so how long were you there?
I think 45 days.
It's a long time.
But I was told it was going to be 30. But it was 45.
So what is life like there? Like, what is a day in the life?
Day in the life? You get woken up between like 6 and 6:20 by the nurse who's on in that morning. Mm-hmm. So you can't close your door. Mm-hmm. So they just come into your room. But the bathrooms are always locked at all times. So
why is that?
Because that way you can't be doing suspicious activity in the bathroom.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm assuming. You're also not allowed to flush the toilet. So they have to come in, look in the toilet, and then actually you can, but they tell you to. If it's fine. Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. They're just looking for, like, maybe I put food in the toilet, or maybe I threw up, or stuff like that.
Got it.
Yeah.
So
they would come in, they wake you up, and they turn on one nurse would just turn your light on. And I would be like, oh my God, my life already sucks. Like, can you just gently wake me up maybe? You asshole. And everybody, like all of us hated her. So when we knew that she was on that night, we were like, oh my fucking God, I hate you. Anyway, so they'd unlock your door and just turn on like most people just turn the bathroom light on.
Yeah.
And woke you up and your towels were next to your bed because you had to shower every morning. Because I'm assuming it's because refeeding syndrome. Well, no, not refeeding syndrome. When you start eating after your metabolism kicks in so aggressively and is working so hard and metabolizes food so quickly that you sweat all night. You wake up drenched in sweat. That's just what happens. So you literally wake up like soaking wet and you have to shower.
I thought it was going to be like psychological morning routine thing.
Maybe, but I would assume it's because you're
that makes more sense.
Sweaty.
But
yeah. And then shower, get ready, get dressed. And then at 7 o'clock, the counselors kind of yell up the stairs that we can come downstairs. You have certain levels. It's I can't remember what they were, but at a certain level, you can prepare your own food.
Yeah.
Not necessarily cook it. I mean, in some cases, but pour your cereal.
Right. Pour
your milk. Stupid shit like that.
Yeah.
But for a long time, you're not there, so you just kind of sit in the living room and wait. And then it's 7:30. You eat breakfast until 8. There's rules you can't be wearing a sweatshirt. Your arms have to be exposed. You can't if I were to have a sandwich and pick it apart, it would be be more mindful of your whatever you're doing. I don't know, or be more mindful of your bite size or your pace, stuff like that. So we'd play games at the table, just stupid games. And then if you didn't finish, you had to sit. So they would take your food and then assess how much you didn't eat. And then they'd give you a Ensure or a Boost. And you'd have 5 minutes to drink it. And if you didn't drink it, you're on couch rest. So you can't move. And then we had snack at probably 10. And then I think lunch was at 12 or 12:30. And then afternoon snack was probably at 3. Dinner 6. And then night snack at 8, I'm guessing. I can't really remember. And then everyone upstairs by 9.
So what are you doing in between meals?
So you have therapy 3 times a week, and you meet with your dietitian 2 times a week.
Okay.
So you're doing something like that, but there's always groups going. So there was one group that was a dream group, and you would just assess your dreams, and you kind of see what's the underlying message from that dream. Or there was a crystal group, and we would all pick crystals and do whatever. Or there would be family dynamics, and you would kind of assess, which I'm sure you know about. You assess your family dynamics and the role you play and why.
Right.
Some of them were so heavy, and it was horrible. And some of them were I'm just assessing my dreams.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was one, though, that was supposed to be really lighthearted. And we were picking tarot cards or something, and mine was about being enough. And I couldn't read it. And I was I'm good. And the counselor was why? And I was I just don't believe that I'm enough. And so all the girls looked at me and they're Mackenzie, you are enough. And I'm just bawling my eyes out. And that's why I have enough tattooed here. So, yeah, I have multiple treatment tattoos. But yeah, so some of them were cool. Some of them weren't. My therapist was the most intimidating woman I've ever met in my entire life. And I would do anything to just get coffee with her one day. I would do anything. Our sessions would literally pretend you're talking to me. I'm your therapist. I'm yours.
Oh, got it. Hey. I don't like this.
Me either. It was silent. She would not say anything.
Oh, God.
And then you kind of just fill the void with this is actually how I'm feeling, because you're so uncomfortable that you just need to fill the silence. And then you'd leave the session and be oh, wow, I feel better.
Yeah.
And so.
Forced discomfort.
Yeah.
Right.
Smart. She was so cool.
Yeah.
And then all had the same dietitian. We didn't all have the same therapist. There was 3. We all had the same dietitian, though. And you would kind of just, I don't really remember what we did. We would just make our meal plan for the week.
Yeah.
And then talk about foods that we were afraid of, which was like 90% of them for me at the time. And yeah, there were multiple times I like threw myself on the ground outside, scream crying, which is so dramatic to think of a 19, almost 20-year-old me doing that. But sometimes you just have to throw yourself on the ground and cry. Yeah. Sometimes you just got to go outside and just scream on the top of your lungs.
So besides therapy, like maybe, I think I'm just trying to better understand a day in the life. Like,
dude, that's the day in the life.
Therapy, food, and what else? Like, that's it?
Therapy, food, groups, and that's it. And like no, that's literally it. You don't have your phone.
Yeah.
You can't really watch TV until it's the night time.
Mm-hmm.
You are just literally sitting in a room with each other.
Yeah.
Filling your time with, I read a lot.
Yeah.
I did a lot of crossword puzzles.
Yeah.
I did a lot of coloring. And that's literally it.
Okay.
And then you leave and there's nothing going on up here. I just colored for 2 months.
Yeah. And so looking back, analysis on, did that serve you?
I think it served me then. In a way of like, I needed it really badly, and I made some of the best connections I've ever met. I just went to one of the girls' baby showers a couple weeks ago.
No shit.
Yeah. And she's one of my really good friends, and I love her to death.
Yeah.
I'm in contact with most of them.
Right.
But one of them I'm just really close with. And another one I'm close with. We'll text like here and there.
Yeah.
One of them also has a black cat, so we like to send each other weird videos of our cats.
Nice.
But yeah. But now that I look back, if I were to, there's been a couple times in the past like year, like 6 months ago, I was not in the place I am now. 6 months ago, I was like doing pretty bad. And my dietitian was like, hey, you need help. But I was like, I will never do that again, because now I'm like, I can't even imagine stopping my life the way I did. I have a home, I have a partner, I have cats, I go to school, I have a job that I really like. I can't imagine putting that on hold for something that I'm so capable of doing myself, because I have before. I've seen it. I've done that work before.
Right.
And I think this is maybe not a popular opinion, but to me, treatment is not natural. You leave that house and no one's as forgiving or understanding or patient with you or knowledgeable.
Right.
You leave that house into a world that doesn't know about eating disorders.
Right.
That, I mean, they do, but not really.
Right.
You're leaving into a world that's fast paced and you just kind of have to go with it, and you can't really slow down to do everything you did there. There's no one there holding your hand.
Right.
You don't have therapy 3 times a week. You don't see your dietitian as often. You don't have these groups. You don't have this such one-on-one close-knit support like you did there.
Right.
So to me, now, it's not rational, I guess.
Do you think that if there was more of a gradual shift, you'd feel differently?
Yes and no, because even when you're like an IOP, PHP, it's still so safe and it's still so cushioned and understanding when it's not like that. It's just not. So,
got it.
I don't know. That's and I'm so grateful for my like going to treatment, and I'm so grateful for the help I had and all of that work I did.
Yeah.
But I've done that work.
Right.
So now I know how to do it on my own.
So then how did you rally after 6 months ago?
I kept saying to my dietitian that I was in this boat, and I had been in this boat for 2 years.
Yeah.
And it was this boat where you're brushing up against really wanting to do it and really wanting to get better and do the work and better myself. But you're still in the boat of, but I don't want to. I don't want to do the uncomfortable work. I don't want to have to deal with the changes that come with it. I just don't want to. And then I think I just kept thinking about that to myself, like, I don't want to be in this boat anymore. And I kept describing this other boat as being pink and sparkly and having so much fun stuff on this other boat. And it's like, well, I want to be on that boat. I want to be on the boat where I can go out to dinner with my friends whenever I feel like it. Where I can go grab drinks with my friends and I don't have to think twice about it. Where I can be a supportive partner and a good partner, and I can be a good employee, and I can be a good student, and I can be a good friend because I'm nourishing myself and I'm taking care of myself. Because on this boat right now, I can't do that. And then I just got on it. And I came to a dietitian appointment, and she was like, what happened? And I was like, I don't know. But it's just different. I just woke up today, and I felt different. And one of the things that I think about every time I'm like, screw eating. I'm done. I'm tired of doing this work. My therapist said, she was like, what's something you really want in life? And I was like, I want to have a family, and I want to have a beautiful wedding and a beautiful wedding dress, and I want to have kids and all this stuff. And she was like, I want you to be in that beautiful wedding dress, and I want you to be eating your wedding cake because it doesn't matter. And I was like, Christine, damn. And I was like fully crying when she said this to me because I was like, you're so fucking right. So sometimes when it's like shitty, I'm like, well, this is so I can eat my wedding cake, and it doesn't suck.
And here you are.
And here I am.
Shit.
Yeah.
Okay. Before we get into the tooth story, which I definitely want to touch on.
It's not touching. We don't touch on it. We get into it.
We get into the tooth story. All right. I wanted to ask you this because it's like, and again, take this from my perspective of complete ignorance to the things you go through, because it's pretty much my experience with food and exercise is literally like the polar opposite. Like, literally. So like, I have no fucking, like, I'm hearing the words, but like, I'll never be able to internalize that unless I go through the same thing, which I'm assuming won't happen. So
hopefully
take that for what it's worth. What is your perspective on like the difference between, I don't want to say the difference between finding the balance between properly educating people on, you know, I would say overarching their relationship with food. Because if you look at like America, for example, 60%, over 60% of deaths are related to heart illness. And over 40% of those are related to poor overeating. So with those stats, it's like, what, 25? So the close to 30% of deaths are because directly caused from overeating and too many calories, right? So how do you balance that with, you know, how do you talk to people like in a way where, because that's a serious problem and that's a serious problem. So it's somewhere between eating yourself to death and not eating yourself to death. And so where do you reconcile those two things?
I don't know. Like, I don't know.
Me neither. That's why I asked.
I mean, what kind of answer are you looking for?
I don't know. Like, because I don't have it. Because to me, it's like, okay, like, here's a good example. When there was one post that you had where you were, and I had no idea about your eating disorder. You said, why are they putting the calories thing on the vending machine?
God, that pissed me off.
Right. But my perspective was like, there's a lot of kids I know that should, like I'm like, maybe, like, you don't need the chips. You're using that as comfort food. But then you look at it from your perspective, you're like, kids are dying out here because they're not eating. And then I'm looking at it like, kids are dying because they are eating. But I haven't gone through either one. You have. So you have way more of I've been through it. You've been to treatment. Like, you've seen the other end of that. You've felt the other end. You've went through, like, you had fucking psychosis because you're not eating. Like, it's fucked up.
I mean, I can't speak on the other end.
Right.
So I think what I would say is, though the people who are on the other end of it are also deserving of treatment. And they're also deserving of the care and compassion you give the other end of the spectrum. Of
course.
And it's like, I mean, I can't speak on that.
Right.
But for like me, I don't know. Like, are you kind of wanting to know how to get to that middle?
Yeah, well, because to me, it's like, from my perspective, it's like from my family. Take my grandmother, for example. She fell and she died. Yeah. She just fell and she died.
Yeah.
It wasn't because she fucking fell. It's because she was so overweight that her body couldn't handle anything. If she had a good relationship with food, she would have fell and had a bruise on her leg. But she died. Literally. She was in her 60s.
She died.
Literally. It's like, dude, like that's fucked up.
I mean, I think the solution is, I mean, our generation right now, I feel like, oh, we're a little fucked. Yeah. Because like right now we're in this stage of like middle of like life sort of, where it's like you're not a teenager, but you're probably going to get married and settle down within the next 10 years.
Stop it.
I know. But it's like, for us right now, what we can all do is heal whatever things happen to us as kids. Right. So for me, whatever happened to me that led me to here, I need to heal that. I need to heal that version of myself. I need to heal that 5-year-old Mackenzie. I need to heal that 10-year-old Mackenzie. I need to heal the 15 and 20-year-old version of me. Because what am I going to do? Have kids and I'm going to be like, don't eat that. No, fuck. What the fuck? No. Right. Like, I am going to raise my kid with I have all these tools now. Right. I have a whole toolbox of things that I didn't have ever. Right. And it's like, well, now I can confidently, I mean, eventually in my life, raise kids to be like, you eat what you want. Right. Because we all have these such big problems with food because our parents did. Right. Or our friends' parents did. Right. Or our teachers did. Or anybody that we knew. Maybe my best friend's parents struggled with it. So then I'm best friends with this friend who's rubbing it on me. Right. We all have these outside sources, and it comes down to people in your life. Right. So it's like, why don't we all just do a little bit of extra work so our kids don't have to suffer? Right. I don't know.
I like that. Yeah, because to me it's like it's a food problem. It's not. It's something deeper than a food problem. Yeah. Like, it's arising as a food problem because there's other shit underneath. Right. And so you're trying to deal with that problem by not eating. Right. Or by overeating. Right. Or something else that's not related to food.
And I still don't know that problem.
Right.
I still don't know that problem. Right. And I hate it. I feel like so many people I know from like treatment or the community is like, this happened to me and that's why I have this eating disorder. And I'm like, what the fuck, bitch? Like, I don't know anything. I don't know shit. Right. I'm like, I like fell off a slide or something and that was really embarrassing. Like, I don't fucking know. Right. I don't know.
It's complicated.
What am I healing if I don't fucking know? Right. Anyway. But yeah, I think the answer to your question is we're going to be parents one day. Yeah. And it's like, it's a matter of you
got to do a good job as a parent. The best job you can.
Be a good parent.
Right.
And you got to be a good parent. Not saying that we don't have good parents.
Of course.
I have the best parents in the world.
Of course.
But with what I know, you know?
Yeah. They gave you the best they could.
Right.
And you got to give the best you can.
And I'm going to give the best I can.
And you're going to give them a whole array of problems. And they're going to have the same conversation.
Right. So. Damn, my mom's gay.
This sucks.
Fuck. Just kidding.
So, the tooth story.
How did we even get into it then? Did you?
No, it wasn't that because you pointed to that. It was, we were talking about treatment, and I think you just said, literally one day I woke up, passed out on the floor in a puddle of blood. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Even this camera can see the tattoo. It's not going to focus, is it? I'm covering your face.
Where's the tattoo? There. Move it in front of my head. Da-da-da.
Oh, right here. Okay. So that is a broken tooth tattoo. So when I arrived to treatment, I was not well, obviously. And I was taking like Lexapro or Zoloft or something.
Okay.
And
nice.
I was taking Lexapro or Zoloft or something. And I was seeing the psychiatrist and the conclusion was I was bipolar. Okay. Why do I not believe you? You're this figure. Like, you're this trusted human being. I trust you. You have this degree, and everyone else trusts you, so I trust you.
Right.
So I don't know if anybody listening is familiar with Seroquel, but it's just it's a sedative. So you're just you take it, done, you're going to bed. And I was prescribed a really high dose of it for my first go around, which is a bad idea as someone who was not well. And then I think it was Ativan, because there's Ambien, and I think Ambien is like a stimulant. So I think it was Ativan, which is not a stimulant. It makes you tired.
Mm.
So I'm taking both these things because I was told to. Yeah. Okay, I believe you.
Right.
So I'm sitting in the living room that night, and I'm like blasted. Like I'm fucking somewhere else.
Yeah.
And I was just like, holy shit, are you guys feeling what I'm feeling right now? Like if you told me I just smoked 16 blunts and 16 joints and drank a whole bottle of some sort of alcohol, I'd believe you.
Yeah.
I was fucked up. And I was just like, whoa, it's crazy. So then I literally said out loud, guys, I feel crossfaded as fuck. And I'm sure I got reprimanded for saying that, but
right.
I had to.
Yeah.
So then it's time to go to bed, and the nurse, I can't stand.
Yeah.
My legs don't work. So the nurse is like holding my back, like pushing me up the stairs, basically. So I go to bed, and then I wake up in the morning at probably 6:20, and I'm like, okay, here's my towels. I'm going to go shower. I get up to pee, and then I wake up, I'm on the floor, and there's blood on the wall. And I'm like, so weird. And if you've ever been really drunk, I'm sure you have also known the feeling of, well, let me just either go to bed or get in the shower. Because I know for many times for me, I'm like, oh, wow, I'm hammered. I'm just going to shower it off. And then you feel better for 5 minutes, and then you're fucked up again. But you feel better. And so I was like, all right, so I get up, and I go to get my towels, and then I'm on the floor again. And from kind of here on, I don't really remember much. It's just what other people have told me. And I wake up, and my glasses are on the floor, and I'm bleeding out of my face. And I'm like, what the fuck? And so I get up to get help. I'm not okay. And one of the girls comes in the room, and she was like, oh my God, what the fuck is going on here? And so the nurse comes in and was like, what are you doing in here? And the girl was like, and so then I wake up, and I'm in my bed again, but I'm fully dressed at this point. I mean, I probably dressed myself. I have no memory of dressing myself. And I'm wearing sweatpants, a t-shirt, and socks. And the counselor for the day, she's next to my bed, and she was like, an ambulance is coming. You're fine. Do you want your phone? And I was like, first of all, don't call me an ambulance. Call me an Uber. I don't want to pay for an ambulance, as if I didn't have insurance that will cover my ambulance. But I'm really looking out for my parents.
Right.
You're welcome. And then I'm like, but I don't want my phone. Not sure why I didn't want my phone, but I just didn't want to have to talk to anybody. So then I wake up, and so if this is the bed, and my head is here, and my feet go here, I'm laying this way. My back is on the bed, and my legs are off the bed. And there's people around me, and they're hitting me in the face, and they're like, this is not good. She's not well. And I was like, okay. And then I'm in an ambulance, and I'm at the hospital. But I really hate IVs. I hate IVs. And I look at my arm, and I already have one, and I'm like, thank God, because I would have freaked out. We had to get our blood drawn every Monday. Yeah. And every Monday I'd be like, no, I can't. No, I need 5 minutes. I can't. You can't do it. Yeah. I hate it.
Yeah.
So then I'm at the hospital, and they open the back doors to the back of it, the ambulance.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh my God, you look so much better. I'm so glad. We were calling you Casper up there. And I was like, thank you so much. It's really nice of you. And then I'm in the hospital, and someone's touching my hand, and I open my eyes, and I'm like, what the fuck? And this nurse literally hands me his phone.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hello? And it's my mom, and she's freaking the fuck out.
Yeah.
And I'm far away from home. I'm really far away from home. far enough away that you can't just leave your job and come get me. I'm far away.
Yeah.
And my mom is freaking out on the phone, and she's like, Mackenzie, I'm so sorry. Like, literally freaking the fuck out. And I was probably just like, dude, stop. I don't know what's going on right now. Like, stop. And so I was just like, okay. And then Friends is my comfort show. Like, anytime I'm really sad, I watch Friends. And I turn on the TV. He gives me the TV remote. And Friends was playing. So I was like, I'm not going to die today. That's reassuring. And then, like, time goes by. And they're like, you can go home. And I was like, okay. And then at this point, I'm like, oh, I have no tooth in my face. And I'm missing my front tooth. And I'm like, so I get up to leave. And I have the broken piece of tooth with me somehow. No, the nurse had it when she came to get me. And I'm walking through the waiting room, like waiting for this nurse to come get me. And I'm fucked up. Like, I should be in a wheelchair type of fucked up. Like, I can't walk. So, and this nurse and I got off to a really bad start because I was abusing laxatives. So she was mad at me. And we just got off to a bad start. And when she came to pick me up, I literally ran and hugged this woman like she was my mother. Like, I have never been so excited to see somebody in my life. So she's like, all right, we got to go to the dentist. So she's finding these dentists, and she brings me to this dentist. And I'm sitting in the waiting room of this place, blasted. And then I go back there, and they're like, we need to take an x-ray of your face. You need to take out your piercings. And I was like, my hands don't work. Are you fucking kidding me? I have to take these out, let alone put them back in? No. So I do it, obviously. And then, I was pissed. I was pissed off. First of all, I don't have a fucking front tooth, and I have perfect teeth. Not anymore, but I was pissed the fuck off. Yeah. And now you're making me take out my nose piercings. Fuck you. And so I take them out, and I have the little, like, the shirt that they put on before you do an x-ray. And the nurse has a thing to clean my mouth because my tooth went through my front lip. It was almost to, like, the front. Like, it was a bad cut. And that's also why I was bleeding so much, because my mouth had a gaping hole in it. So she's rubbing, like, cleaning it, and it hurt really bad. And I hit her on the hand, and I was like, I swear to fucking God, if you keep touching me, I'm going to freak out. As if I didn't just freak out. Yeah. So I take my piercings, take off the thing, and I leave. And I get back in the nurse's car, and she was like, what happened in there? And I'm also wearing her Sperry's and her jacket. And I was like, I'm not going there. And so she's like, okay. So we find another dentist nearby. And I walk into this dentist, and I'm wearing, we had these crocheted little, like, pouch necklaces, and we called them satchels, and they would hold, like, a crystal, a chapstick, or rings, or literally anything I wanted. And I'm wearing them, and I go to the front desk, and the woman, I give her my ID, and she's like, what are you wearing around your neck? And I was like, oh, this is my satchel. She was like, nice. Probably thought it was insane. And then so she looks at my license, and she was like, Wethersfield, like, what are you doing here? Like, that's far away.
Right.
And I was like, well, if you really want to know, I'm actually here for eating disorder treatment for my anorexia. And she was like, and I was fully expecting her to be like, okay. But she was like, oh my God, like, when I was your age, I was really struggling with an eating disorder. And I just want you to know to keep going. Like, don't ever stop fighting for yourself. And I was like, okay. And so, like, there's not much they could have done at the dentist that day. They just, like, glued my chipped tooth to whatever was left.
Yeah.
And I don't really remember anything from being there, whatever. And then I came back a couple weeks later to get a temporary crown. And then I came back a couple weeks later to get the permanent crown. And every year that woman texts me on my birthday. Shout out to that woman. So, or sometimes I would text her and be like, hi. But yeah, so that's why I have my tooth tattoo.
Yeah. So you got up to pee, and you like smacked your face on the wall, or
on the floor.
So
I was face down on the floor, glasses off, face bleeding, and my glasses are broken, by the way. So they've been broken since.
And you have no idea how you got from all you remember is getting up to pee and then just
Floor.
Yep.
I really hope I never remember it too, because that would probably suck.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Now it's a really funny story, but then my mom, oh my God, my mom hates when I tell the story. She's like, Mackenzie, like, do we really have to? I'm like, oh, we have to. It's funny as shit now.
That's perfect.
It's funny now.
Yeah.
Then maybe not. And actually my dentist, so one of my literal dentist, when I came back and I had to get a new retainer because that bitch didn't fit anymore, my dentist was like, your teeth, that's not a real tooth. Like, and what's going on? Like, why did that tooth shift? And I was like, well, Dr. Gary, if you really want to know, I was just in eating disorder treatment, and like a retainer is like a couple $100. Yeah. And he was like, I'm going to give it to you for free. Like, I'm so proud of you and I'm so sorry and blah, blah. And I was like, okay, so I love you. Yeah. People were really nice to me.
That's good.
Yeah. Thank
you. You kind of need that. Mm-hmm. You can't really afford to have people being shitty to you.
Dude, I would have lost it.
It would have been all over.
Oh my God, I would have lost it. And I was so fragile when I came home. If anybody talked about like anything, I'd be like, like I was a disaster.
Yeah. Damn.
Yeah.
So now you're what? Year and a half back? 2 years?
2 years. Over 2 years. But it was the worst transition ever. Like I literally didn't know how to exist at all. And I came home and I was like, I can't talk to anybody ever. I can't let anybody see me. And then I came home beginning of April. And I got a job by the end of the month, and my therapist was like, don't do that. You like need to get yourself together.
Right.
And like rest. No. And I fully went back into exercising. Like I would walk, like take 4-mile walks multiple times a day. I was always walking, always running, always doing something. And I think my parents were too afraid to be like, hey, stop. Because I would have been like, no, don't fucking tell me that.
Right.
Asshole. So my poor parents, honestly. Thank God I have them. But like, oh, I'm so sorry. I feel so bad.
But it's a good story.
It's a good story. And here I am.
Here we fucking are.
It's possible.
Dude, it is. And it's going to be even crazier story in a couple of years.
Yeah.
Look back on.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah.
You're like, I thought I was out. I wasn't even out.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy. So we wrap up the podcast with one question. And it's a 1-word question.
What?
And I want you to give yourself some time to think of it.
Wait, what do you mean?
You'll know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
All right. You give yourself time. If you do have an intuitive answer, go for it.
Okay.
But here's a question.
Okay.
You are however old and you die. That's it. Life's over.
Okay.
And you croaked. Done. But this podcast, your journals, any experiences you have, any text messages you have, any conversations you have, they're all gone. There's nothing you can tell anybody. There's no advice you can leave behind except for one word on your gravestone. And it's the one word that you get to leave behind. And it's the advice you give to the next generations. What's that word?
Resilience.
That's a first. Why is that?
I don't know. I think the past 2 years have been about dropping everything and having to kind of abandon my life to pick it all back up and to save myself. And if I didn't have the resilience that I do, I wouldn't have been able to do it.
I love it. Yeah. Mackenzie Scutari, everybody. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
I appreciate you.
I appreciate you.
Ladies and gentlemen, love yourself because I love you. Stay handsome. Peace.